Good Monday morning, everyone. Sure hope your week's off to a great start. I want to share with you just a few thoughts about yesterday's message, and especially the greatest takeaway, which was this: always, always remember every day who it is that you serve. You know, I shared with you an illustration of John Kenneth Galbraith, and he was an economist in the 20th century, just a fascinating guy, really talented, world-renowned, wrote some 4 books, taught at Harvard in economics for, I don't know, somewhere around 51 years or so, and just a guy that was leaned upon by a lot of world leaders to help us regulate the economy and what we needed to do, not only locally, but also globally. And he was just really highly sought after. He tells a story in his autobiography about a time when he came home from work and he was just really tired and wanted to take a nap. And so he told his housekeeper, Emily, "I'm not to be disturbed, I'm gonna go take a nap." So you know what happens. The phone rings after he's fallen asleep, and his housekeeper answers the phone, and the man on the other line was actually President Lyndon Johnson. He said, "I'd like to speak with Ken, please." And she says, "Well, he's here, but he's not available." "Well, what's he doing?" "Well, he's in there taking a nap." "Well, tell him to get up. It's the President of the United States. I need to chat with him about some things." And she said, "Well, sir, since I work for him and not for you, I'm going to let him get his nap, and I'll have him call you when he wakes up." Well, you can imagine what that's like. Ken woke up and immediately called the president. And when he got the president, he heard him chuckling over the phone. He said, "Sir?" And he says, "I don't know who she is, but I want her working here at the White House." Well, what Emily taught us is that she knew exactly who it was she served, and that was her focus. And it didn't matter anyone else that may have asked anything of her. She was going to serve the person that she worked for. And I think from a Christian perspective, if we'll all get a grip on that very idea, that we live and breathe and survive by serving Jesus Christ, if we will recognize that has to be our priority, it will change everything. What a master we have in Jesus. Someone who would love us so much to leave the comforts of heaven, sacrifice himself, come down to the earth and to live among us and to, be persecuted and to feel all the pains and the struggle that we go through here, but also the rejection and the hurt and the crucifixion and all those things to atone for our mistakes, to pay the price for our guilt. That's the master that we serve. And so when we recognize that, it changes everything about our perspective, doesn't it? I mean, now we know we have a new master. We're no longer serving sin, we're serving righteousness now. Now we not only have a new master, but we also have a new assignment. When Jesus was asked, what's the greatest command to be given? He said this: love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And the second's like this: love your neighbor as yourself. He said, on these two things hang all of the law and the prophets. What is he saying is our love for God has to be first, and then our love for other people has to be secondary. And when we put those two principles to work in our everyday life, it is going to make such a difference on how we go about our day. So we need to be thinking about things, that how we can use our work and show that our love for God is there in our work. We talked about Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, about the idea that we are to give ourselves as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. And it says, which is your reasonable worship or your reasonable service. And the idea there in that word is the idea that I take what I'm doing every day and I dedicate that to God, and that becomes my service and my offering to Him. It's kind of like my worship to Him. And certainly not everything that we do in every day is that way, but things that we intend on consecrating or putting aside for God, dedicating to Him, can certainly be thought of as something to give our honor and pay tribute to Him with our life. And in the context, it's talking about yielding up our bodies as that sacrifice. Well, that's an important thing for us to recognize to do. And when we do that, it changes our work habits, it changes our attitude, because now we're serving God and everything that we do is for Him. So that drives our motivations. And ultimately what we want to do is to adorn the gospel everywhere we go, so that when we live out our Christian faith, others see it, they recognize it, they want to know more about it, and it gives us that opportunity to speak on behalf of God. And because we have treated people with the right way, we've loved God and we've loved our fellow workers, that has an impact on them, and it may soften them up enough to hear the message of truth. And so that's our goal. We just want, more than anything else, and the action step this week is simply this: to put Jesus as the King of our life and make sure that we are serving Him with all that we've got. And when we do that, The Bible tells us that whatever we do, work heartily as unto the Lord, not for men, because the reward that we receive comes from the promises that God gives us as His people. I hope this encourages you. I hope that you'll recognize this in your daily work. No matter what your office or what your situation or your circumstance is, that you put Jesus first and that others begin to see that. You love God and you love other people, and you let that drive your daily activities, and you will see God work things out in powerful and amazing ways. Hope you have a fantastic week. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday and again on Sunday. Love you guys so much. Have a great one.